discussion below and not perpetuate a very toxic environment. That's reality, right? No? Oh, shit. Justice League. So Justice League is directed by Zack Snyder, who still has directing credit in the credits. It's the film adaptation among the DC Cinematic Universe of the Justice League. The DC heroes coming together and forming, you know, pretty much DC Avengers. Or maybe the Avengers are Marvel Justice League. Perspectives, just saying. In this story, there is a villain called Steppenwolf who is coming to Earth to do, you know, bad guy things. Can't have spoilers here. So Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince, that would be Batman and Wonder Woman, have to go around and get a team together to fight this asshole so Earth doesn't, you know, die. And we've been looking forward to this, man. How can we not be looking forward to this? When the Avengers happened and started a cinematic universe and we learned DC was doing theirs, who didn't have a boner for Justice League? That's awesome. Some bumps along the way among the cinematic universe for some fans, but all in all, admit it. You're morbidly curious, aren't you? So what I liked about this movie is if there is a character that you liked in a previous movie in the DC Cinematic Universe and they're in this movie, what you liked about them is generally speaking intact. I mean, there's some character growth in this one because this movie takes place after the other movies. You can tell Batman, for one, has grown a bit. And they address that in this movie, but point is the essence of him, Wonder Woman, what you liked about her, that's intact. But the newcomers, Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. I'm interested and curious about all their movies. I don't know if Cyborg is actually getting his standalone movie. The Flash was definitely the comic relief. There's more comedy tied in with him than most other characters. He even says in one of the trailers, he was like, I don't get into fights. I just run really fast and push people over. And when you think about the Flash, you're like, yeah, that's true. What if he goes up against someone really powerful, really fast? He hasn't dealt with that yet. But when he ran, when he was hauling ass and that speed force is coming off of him in the form of lightning, it just looks really cool. I didn't actually remember that it wasn't yellow. I'm used to it being yellow, fan of the Flash TV show, and it never once bothered me. I'm just saying people are entitled to their nitpicks. That would have been one, but it wasn't. Also, Arthur Curry, Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I will say of the characters, for me, he's the one that kind of got left in the background a little bit. He certainly has a couple of fun moments of action, which you saw in the trailer. I mean, when he's riding that parademon, that's in the trailer. And I don't like it when trailers spoil something that would have been so cool to see in the movie for the first time. Turns out that trailer in this movie, they did that. But from the trailer, I thought he was just going to be a dude with one line. It's like, my man, yeah! In the simplest way I can explain it, I liked his personality. The personality of the characters in this movie actually supersedes the action sequences. Also, Cyborg. The CGI on Cyborg is the most noticeable. More noticeable in some scenes more than others. The dude is 90-something% CGI. So there's no getting around it, and it's not completely noticeable all the time. But the time and effort spent on Cyborg developing his character, and there's a fair amount of it. He's kind of the newbie, his powers are developing. It makes you forgive those moments of noticeable CGI with Cyborg. Character comes first. And this being a mix of heroes, I do enjoy that mix of heroes. You have your rookies who got their powers not too long ago, and you have your seasoned veterans. There are some scenes where you're like, that's it. That's noticeable. That's CGI Cyborg. But it doesn't change the fact that in the last act, when I was seeing them all fight together, I was like, the Justice League just happened. It's just really neat. It's an experience that I can say I was there. I was alive. I was reviewing movies. I was watching movies. When that happened for the first time, I was here. Now, as for the flaws, this movie was supposed to be something like 2 hours, 45 minutes, and it was recently sliced down to be 2 hours. Or I think it was the mandate was less than 2 hours. So it clocks in at like an hour, 59 minutes. And it does show, especially in the first act of the movie, this setup, you can tell it's like there's supposed to be so much more information here. Even going into the second act of the movie, though, it's more noticeable in the first act. There's even one scene where it's just like, it's done now. You're like, oh, okay. Something's missing, isn't there? So the pacing in some time blocks in the movie, it's a bit choppy. So I'm looking forward to seeing the director's cut or extended edition, special edition, whatever they're gonna call it. If it comes out on Blu-ray, it'll probably happen. Also, there are a couple of instances where they talk about certain things that, given previous movies in the cinematic universe, couldn't have happened the way they said it happened. So the chronology is starting to get fudged up a little bit. The villain Steppenwolf, I thought he was fine and functional for his part. You feel like you're dealing with the middleman a bit. You're like, okay, between the Justice League and Darkseid, I guess there's you. Can't help but have the kid inside you jump up and down and be like, I want Darkseid. But he was fine and functional when he was on screen. When he was not on screen, I kind of forgot about him. First and foremost, the point of all of it is seeing your heroes come together. And for that, I felt they did a good job with that. Steppenwolf can take a back seat if the heroes get a front seat. Guys, in the end, Justice League was a very good time for me. Though it wasn't perfect. There's some tonal issues in the movie, some pacing issues in the movie. Some of the humor didn't really land. Some of it actually surprisingly landed. One thing that happens in here especially cracked me up. I know that people were getting worried, like, what, Perry White's not gonna be in the movie? Lex Luthor's not gonna be a part of the plot? And when you look at it though, it's like, where would Perry White fit in here? Where would Lex Luthor really fit in here? So I'm glad they took him out. The comic book fan in me was pleased, and the movie fan in me was entertained. And I will say Justice League is a good time, no alcohol required. Yeah, as a movie, it's better than Suicide Squad, but this is why I hate ratings. Alright guys, so Justice League, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or let's theorize here. Not that I hold Rotten Tomatoes Tomatoes is the end-all be-all, but it does make for a fun thing. What do you think the tomato meter for Justice League is going to be by the end of the weekend? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.